Welcome to How To RC. Today we're going to talk a little bit about glue. Even if you're not into RC, you probably know what super glue is. This is Zap-A-Gap. It's a kind of a thick super glue. Great stuff. And this is Zip Kicker. When you use this, put it on and let it set for a few seconds, especially if you're working in balsa wood, so that it spreads out and gets into all the little cracks and crevices. And then you give it a quick spray of this, and it dries in about 5 seconds. Very strong, very handy. Don't glue your fingers together, it can happen. You're sitting there holding the piece together and you hit it with Zip Kicker and then you can't get your fingers off. We'll be using more of this, which is foam safe CA. This stuff happens to be from Hobbytown, USA. And it has its own kicker and a little spritzer, spray bottle. Great stuff. Very quick, very strong bond in foam. Very handy when you're building in foam. These are polyurethane glues. You can see they're well used. This is Tight Bond Type 2. Great glue. Water resistant. You can use it for like outdoor furniture or something and it can get wet and it'll hold its bond. I've built furniture with this. It's lasted more than 30 years. It's terrific glue. This is a little newer. This is the Type 3. This is waterproof, which means that you could use it on the bottom of a boat. It'll stand immersion in water. Terrific stuff, just as strong. Does dry a brownish where the Type 2 dries kind of a light yellow. This dries brown. Another polyurethane glue is the popular Gorilla Glues. I've got two of them here. This is what I would call the original Gorilla Glue. It was the first one I saw anyway. And it dries fairly quickly if you apply it properly. It gives you a very strong bond, even on foam, and it dries to a hard consistency that you can cut, shape, and sand. Most importantly is the sanding part. You can really sand it, and it on a foam construction, if the glue doesn't sand good, like this does, you'll be sanding away the foam around the glue joint instead of sanding the glue joint down. With this you don't get that. This sands right off, very nice. Dries to a very pale yellow, about the color of this wood. Now this is something that's a little newer to me. This is this clear Gorilla Glue. It says it dries white and 2 times faster. Well, I don't know about 2 times faster, but it does dry white. Gives you a similar bond to the standard Gorilla Glue. But in my experience, it dries to a kind of a rubbery consistency that's rather difficult to sand. It cuts easily, but it doesn't sand very well. I don't know why, but at least it does dry white, which is really nice because we're using white foam. Then you get into epoxy. 2-part epoxy. This happens to be Loctite, and it's 5-minute epoxy. Very quick, for quick fixes. Take it to the field with you. If you break something, you can glue it back together and be back in the air in 10 or 15 minutes. Lots of companies make 2-part epoxy. You put equal parts of the red and the blue in something and mix it up. You want to mix it up real good. I sit there and stir this stuff for 45 or 60 seconds, almost a minute, before I try to use it. This way it ensures that the two parts are evenly mixed and it's going to dry in the specified 5 minutes or so. You also have, this is mass epoxy. It's a marine type product. I was building boats. You can see that, well, you saw the boats back here in the opening shot. I built a couple of these boats right from scratch, and I used the mass epoxy. Now, I got a medium hardener with it, and probably should have gotten the fast hardener, but I got the medium hardener with it, and you had plenty of time to push the fiberglass down into the mold and get it just the way you want it before it kicked off. It wouldn't kick off for probably half an hour or so, and then it would start to get stiff, and you couldn't move it so good. But terrific bond, very strong. I've been hearing lately that an epoxy that cures slower gives you a stronger bond. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds good to me. Now, with both the two-part epoxies, this one is one part, and one part of this to two parts of this. Okay, and this is one part of each. But with both of them, you can mix in microballoons. Microballoons are just what the name says. They're tiny little glass balls. Not marbles, not spheres, more like Christmas tree decorations. Empty glass balls, but so small that they're finer than talcum powder. Mix this up with either one of the epoxies. It thickens them right up. You can make a nice fillet and do a, you got a 45-degree joint. It'll make a nice fillet in there and make a super strong bond. And it can even accelerate the drying time of the glue. But terrific stuff. The other thing I've got here is 3M's Super 77. Now, in a foam plane I built just recently, it told you to use this to bond some of the pieces together. It's cut two flat pieces of foam, you spray this one up with the bond, give it 5 minutes to get tacky instead of wet, and then put them together, make sure they're where you want them to be, and they'll bond in, I don't know, half an hour or so. Actually, it'll bond quicker than that, but it'll bond fairly quickly, and it's fairly strong too. It's done a good job. So that's what I have on hand right now for glue.